Hello chaps, thank you for popping by again. Well, while I was looking up things for my last video, this came up randomly and I really wanted to share it with you. It's from the Express newspaper. The Express is a national newspaper in the UK. I found them very useful, some of the columnists in the past, for putting up stories and putting them up very responsibly. So this isn't now, this is from June the 1st, 2015. So good though, important to share, and particularly in context of the story. So you got the headline: Rise of ISIS and earthquakes are warnings before Armageddon destroys Earth. That might be a bit of a misleading quote, of course. Destroying Earth. You have a collage there, which I actually used in something this last week, I think. Didn't know where it came from. Getty Watchtower. So, John Austin is telling us an army of angelic creatures will soon be sent to Earth, led by, Kenny Rogers firing his bow and arrow, never got that, will soon be sent to Earth to destroy the world as we know it, according to a global religious group, followed by nearly 20 million people. I think they're going by the memorial figures, so we know that's probably 6 million, with a lot of saying it could be the active ones. So it's a good article. The end of mankind has been long predicted by Jehovah's Witnesses. Could happen as soon as this year. That's why I wanted to share it with you, 2015. And oldie people like myself remember the 80s. It was really going to happen then. Later people will have their trigger things of what was said in those decades, up to 2000. But in the 80s, it was that whole generation will not pass away. And originally it was, of course, that generation they wouldn't have been babies. It wasn't that. It was that they would have been conscious of events. And then you see this sort of message about it's going to end. And, of course, Jehovah's Witnesses have told us the good news of Jehovah's kingdom rather than other good news. But they say they're preaching good news and they're very happy. And I was just thinking of my grandma. Now, one of my grandmas, she was born in 1908, generation that will not pass away. And if someone was saying really miserable things and being negative and, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, the saying where she lived was, you're a right Jehovah's Witness. I've gone Muttley again. Actually, a lot of my laughing and chuckling comes from her. I'm kind of like a pea in a pod, I think, sometimes with her. So, latest thing this year, latest edition of the Watchtower, translated into 700 languages, join the religion or face certain death. Again, it has to be that synonymous thing, God, supreme being, whatever you call it, the source, God, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever. You got to join the organization or you're off. Remove all world leaders. Some of them are blooming annoying, that's for sure. But God has put them there, they tell us, for now. Exterminate his enemies. Well, don't forget that again, that includes babies and little ones. I don't think they're his enemies. No. And rid the world of Satan. Okay, well, you can do that, but I think without destroying babies. Anyway, critics have lambasted the warning of a coming Armageddon as yet another failed prediction by the religion, which has previously delivered similar alerts, such as foretold apocalypse in 1975. They've been warning people need to recognize Jehovah or face certain death when the end comes for more than 100 years. I'm sorry, I'm saying this in a light tone, but I know it's horrible. I know that feeling it's going to happen. Lots of you said, thunderstorm, and you think, it's true. It becomes in your bones, and the fear of people you love dying. I can say this personally, the feelings of all that. So I'm saying it lightly on the other side of the fence, but I'm not lightening the fears, the absolute visceral fear and worry and terror, absolute terror. So 1870s, old Russell and his beard, Pennsylvania Bible Studies movement. 8.2 million Jehovah's Witness evangelists, while, so, the 19 followers do not believe in military service and will not accept blood transfusion. New 8-page article. Are they that long now? Convinced. The leaders are now convinced humans are in their final days before the Armageddon. Familiar? They cite an increase in global armed conflict, such as the rise of the Islamic State terror group. Well, the Christians did they not have a terror group in the Crusades? But, of course, people can do so much more damage now, as well as natural disasters such as volcanoes and earthquakes. Lengthy article written by an unnamed author. Well, that would be a part of the course. Will God let humans continue to dominate one another? And who dominates who? Who tells people how long their hair can be, how they could dress, what husbands and wives can do together? I don't know. I can't think of who does that. And threaten the future of mankind. No, as we've seen, he will step in and bring an end to centuries of misery and oppression. The creator of humans and the earth wants you to know that his time to take action is approaching. And I've been very motivated by the need for justice, having grown up with entire injustice, like really dangerous injustice. It was a desire of mine everyone to be treated correctly, everyone to eat, everyone to have clean water, It's one of the things that got me, we all get pulled in by something. Another lovely happy picture. At least actually that's interesting, because that must be a more recent one, because the men aren't wearing shirts and ties, because normally they do during Armageddon. The surviving people have got their shirts and ties on, which is very strange. God has given us his words that will unmark some events unfolding. We're convinced that we're in the time period, again, leading up to the end. The publishers of this magazine and many of its readers have no doubt that this unique period really is the last days. It wasn't 1914, 1917, 1918, 1920s, millions now living will never die, 1930s. It wasn't 75 when it was the last days. No, now the end is near. Now it is, okay. But the other bits, you said the same things? I don't know. It adds, we can readily discern this much. God will send an army of angelic creatures to exterminate his enemies. And I sort of find that strange. Okay, angelic creatures. I have my spiritual beliefs, which I really don't want to be foisting on people here. But I've got this thing about God having enemies. So when you're the supreme being, and I believe source is love. That's my thing. I've seen it, felt it, experienced it as a force. It's like, I've got an enemy, I must exterminate them. I've got a few people who don't like me. Really? What a surprise. No, normally there's a few people, though, that don't like me that much. Do I want to go and kill them? No, my flawed, silly, stupid self. It's not that, I must go and kill them. And I'm not a big overseeing, supreme, loving thing. There'll be so many other options. And I know some people are not going to be happy with me saying that, but I don't see it. That's kind of like a manly solution, isn't it? Ooh, they're over there, and I don't like them, they don't like me, let's get an army and kill them. It's kind of a man solution. The article also claims that although the end will be horrific and involve destruction not seen since the world was formed, there is a way for humans to survive. Not through stockpiling resources such as tinned food, but it does help to have a bunker, apparently. And this is the hypocrisy, isn't it? If we stockpile material goods, such as the money from Kingdom Halls and things, that's not material. that would not save us from such a destruction. Really, our survival involves being devoted to Jehovah God and learning about the kind of conduct and deeds that please him. Now, if you're onto pro-theologist, I'll put his name. I was pro-one theologist. I've mirrored his videos before. Now, he's very interesting. He goes on a lot about what happens when we think that what we do, or we try to act in a way because we think that whatever we do can make God happy or make God sad, and what that leads to. I explain it badly. I'll link to his channel. He's very good at that, because at the beginning I was like, what's that? And he was like very kindly sort of showing patiently. So learning about the kind of conduct and deeds that please him. Well, when we love someone, we do want to please them. We'll fail a lot, but we kind of want to. You know, you love someone, or even if you don't know someone, but someone's coming as a special guest, you find out what's their favourite food. You know, oh, I'll get their favourite food ready, and you know, it's just normal. But if I get that wrong, or if I haven't pleased my loved one, or I've made them cry, then I don't want them to die after that. Oh, sorry, I don't expect to die for that. Rather than following the majority today and ignoring the clear signals, we are living in such important times again. We need to keep close in mind the presence of the day of Jehovah again. Jehovah's Witnesses can show you from the Bible how you... Well, it's not from the Bible, though, is it? Wee bits of quotes here and there. It's all, here is our books, here is our books, here is our books. Or go to jw.org, how you can be a survivor this coming day. So I'm just going to stop because there'll be an ad to watch, but you can, they've got a clip of Loesch. So lovely. So the article is very thorough. I'll put a link below as always. And they've even got in an insert of Loesch. This is so stimulating. God, you think I'm boring. Wait till you hear him again.
The Bible speaks of a judgment day, then of the Lord's day, and then Jehovah's day or great day. True or false? Each term means something different. True. So what's the difference? As far as the judgment day, it refers to the millennium. The Lord's day started in 1914.
So the sink is out of it.
Now, what is Jehovah's Day? Well, there's not just one day of Jehovah. In ancient times, there were several days of Jehovah. There was one against Jerusalem in 607 before Common Era, according to Zephaniah 1:7.
607. Didn't prove it.
There was another day of Jehovah against Babylon, Isaiah 13, verse 1 and 6. There was another day of Jehovah against Egypt, according to Jeremiah 40,
before Jesus,
verses 1 through 10. And then there was the day of Jehovah against Edom, according to Obadiah, verse 15. And, of course, there was another day of Jehovah against Jerusalem in the year 70 of our Common Era.
Okay, that's...
When, in fulfillment of the prophecy, the Romans then conquered and destroyed Jerusalem. Well, there is a day of Jehovah just ahead of us, and it will affect the whole earth. And we can see what Peter said about it in 2 Peter, verse 3:12, where he used this expression. As you await and keep close in mind the presence of the day of Jehovah. Yeah, and
that's it.
what is the day of Jehovah?
It's the only Bible bit.
Well, the Insight book says the special period of
See,
time.
the Insight book, so they've gone on to their literature. I know he was quoting things before, but it's sloppy.
Not 24 hours when Jehovah actively manifests himself against his enemies, with divine judgment executed against the wicked. And it is also a time of salvation and deliverance, it says. Well, the Watchtower 2006, December 15, said the greatest day of Jehovah still lies ahead.
Still Watchtower, still quoting the literature. It's like everything I could say could be right if I only ever quoted myself. No, it wouldn't be, because as time's gone on, I've evolved. I have had new lights, but then that just comes from trying to unstupid myself, not from divine messages.
It will start with the destruction of Babylon the Great.
Aye, certainly.
First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2 and 3 speaks of this.
Bible.
Of this day of Jehovah. It says, "For you yourselves know very well that Jehovah's day is coming exactly as a thief in the night. Whenever they are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction is to be instantly upon them."
Right. So that was, there you have it. It's interesting because I remember surrounding, was it 86, wasn't it? The UN said peace and security. That was their logo for 86, peace and security. And we were told at the convention in Twickenham, I remember, that doesn't mean it's Armageddon, but it's a sign that we're in that period of the last days. Other people really took it that it was going to be the end. Not in the same way as 75, because the 75 thing really came from the society. So they've gone to the other side and had a look. It's very responsible reporting, prematurely warning of the end, and trying to erase such pronouncements from its history. Monitors point to several previous predictions warning of Armageddon in 1914, although the Jehovah's Witnesses later claimed they had foreseen the outbreak of the First World War, which began in the same year. Now, and this is pre-internet, I was impressed with the 1914 prediction. I thought that was real. I really thought they'd done that. That's what I was told. That's what I was taught. I believed it. And it seemed impressive because that First World War was a big issue. It changed so much. And I thought, that's a really big thing. They refer to JW facts, which is fantastic. One of the most misleading statements in Watchtower publications is that they accurately foretold 1914 to be the start of the conclusion of this system of things. Rather, 1914 was predicted to be the end of the system of things, the conclusion of Armageddon, and the start of the earthly paradise. That was the bit I wasn't told. That's like, oh, you little tinkers. Again, I'm lightening what is very important, really. From 1966 to 75, the Watchtower regularly implied that Armageddon would arrive in 1975. However, ask one of Jehovah's Witnesses about this date, and they will invariably deny there ever being such statements. Now, would it be that summer? Yeah, I think it would be that summer, or was it next? They did a video on 75, which really berated, ran down, and ridiculed the sacrifices, the very real sacrifices that some Jehovah's Witnesses made in answer to that prediction. A lot of them did a lot to try and save lives before 75. Not right. You know, that they did that from their hearts. Jehovah's Witnesses did that from their hearts, and now they're ridiculed for it. How the Watchtower article explains the Armageddon occurring. See, the Armageddon. It's kind of interesting because we don't sort of say that. We say Armageddon. Earth, as we know it, will be destroyed, but the planet will survive forever with a select few beings, which clarifies their headline. A scheduled event set by God will occur. Who already knows the date of it? And he keeps whispering to Watchtower, the wrong ones. Don't know why he'd do that, really. Armageddon will not be triggered by nuclear war or by an earth-destroying meteorite, but by God sending his angelic warriors to slay rivals and non-believers. It just doesn't make sense, does it? It will herald the end. Sorry, I know I'll upset people saying that. It will herald the end of failing world governments and the setting up of a permanent government ruled by God forever. The apocalypse will bring an end to all war, violence, and injustice, and all other religions. I'm sorry. Anyone who supports or takes part in the current global leadership system will perish, and that is the reason why so many people have got agitated by Watchtower being an NGO in the United Nations for, was it 10 or 11 years? At least 10 years, see The Guardian. That's why that caused some people to leave, as it would do. Anyone who supports or takes part in the current global leadership system will perish. Except for us when we're an NGO. And then talk about the 1,000-year Judgment Day. And things. Oh, look at, they got the 75 bell. So when I was looking at this before doing this video, I'd missed this link. So as Joe Runaway Slave says, in conclusion, because he knows how to talk properly, in conclusion, I'll leave you with this video. Looks really good. Enjoy. Thanks for your time. All the best, everyone.
Did you know? Did you know that the Jehovah's Witnesses have made several prophecies regarding dates that did not come true?
Well,
don't take my word for it. See for yourself. Examine a timeline of the Watchtower prophecies from a book called The Bible versus the Watchtower. Take a look at this visual. First, in 1874, there was a prophecy that did not come true. Then 1914, then 1919, then 1925. 1929, 1940, and then apexing at 1975. Take a look at this visual and see the up and down flip-flop reality. These are the facts. Now I'd like to share with you some feelings to go along with those facts from a DVD called Witnesses of Jehovah. Take a look.
When early Watchtower teachings that the world entered the so-called time of the end in 1799, that Jesus returned invisibly in 1874, and that the world would end in 1914 were proven false. Doctrine was conveniently readjusted. In the new version, 1914 became the date of both Christ's invisible return and the beginning of the time of the end.
That's not biblical, it's invisible, is
This
it?
date was put forth not as theory or interpretation, but as hard, indisputable fact.
I remember that Watchtower.
Watchtower Society official Eugene Mortensen.
Jehovah's Witnesses, from their study of the Bible, have firm belief in the fact that since the fall of 1914, Jesus has come into kingdom power. And as he prophesied in the 24th chapter of Matthew, the generation saw the beginning of this time would not pass away until all things would be accomplished. That means also the end of this wicked system of things.
I think the evil needs to be seen for what it is. It's this concept, this organizational concept, that the organization is everything. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses believe
Is that Ray?
this organization is God's one channel, that all of God's direction for people on the earth comes
Is that
through
Ray from?
this channel. And the men on the governing body believe it. I believed it. And that's the reason I was party to some things in the past that today I feel shame to think that I even had part in them.
If the governing body of the Watchtower Society holds and enjoys the power, then they must also bear the responsibility. The truth is, they don't. Nothing better illustrates this than their false prophecy concerning 1975.
Well, when the Society brought out the date 1975, I felt right away that this is going to be the date when the thing has to happen, because there was no other date beyond 1975 that anybody could point to. So I grabbed right a hold of it. It was a thing to do, and I put all my hopes in it.
By the mid-60s, the Watchtower Society had all but guaranteed that the world would come to an end in 1975. It was a prophecy that would bring in a flood of new members, and the organization prospered. But it would have other effects on the ordinary Jehovah's Witness.
We thought Armageddon was coming in 1975. So I did not have a career. I didn't go to college because the end was so close. There was no need. The new world would be here.
I was a senior in high school, and the circuit overseer, which is a traveling minister, advised me that it's best for you to quit school and go into full-time pioneer work because the world is going to end in 1975.
And we felt so strongly about the imminent approach of 1975 and that this whole system was coming to an end. We sold our home in Lower Michigan, moved north, built a Kingdom Hall, and there we intended to live out those few remaining years, having saved just enough money to go a few years beyond 1975. So it was a great disappointment and distress when this event that the Watchtower had prophesied did not materialize.
I wanted to get married. I wanted to have children. But because the end was so close, when Fred and I got married, we decided that we would postpone having children. So I believe we sacrificed a lot within the organization. Well, when the end of the world didn't come in 1975, and that prophecy of the Watchtower failed, I began to wonder if they were wrong on this, how many others are they wrong on?
You see, scriptural error doesn't make the Jehovah's Witnesses bad or evil people. Not at all. It just means that they're just like any other church or any other good Christian trying to do the right thing as imperfect man or imperfect women. But that's not their claim. You see, the Jehovah's Witnesses claim to be God's exclusive channel, speaking exclusively on behalf of God. Now, that's not just wrong, that's dangerous. I hope that these videos have been helpful to you and to yours, and if they have, then I want to invite you to share them with a friend. We're talking about God, His Word, and truth. God bless you. I'm Daniel.